Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. You get fairy dust, I get fairy dust, little Emily gets fairy dust. And I have a question for Ask an Advanced Bitch. Can you do a video on how slash if clutter connects with CPTSD? And yes, I can. First, I just want to say this is just coming from me. This is just what comes up for me. These are the things that I think about and the ways that I try to deal with it. I want you to see my desk for full transparency. I've covered up all the important. Here we go. Dee, 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 dee. There's some lipstick. There's a selfie stick. There's my note. There's a one. There's my pen. There's a penny. Why? I have not done any like financial transactions in here. A penny, a hair, and here's some books. Yeah. So I just want you to know clutter is an issue for me too. So in general, this is how I think about it. Clutter exists on a continuum of, let's say, organized, minimalist, organized, comma, minimalist. You don't have to be a minimalist to be organized. Clean to OCD, obsessive. So that all that's on a continuum, and all that, let me just say that. So and then we have over here, which is disorganized, cluttered, chaos, all the way to like hoarding. And so like hoarding would be on the far, 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 far far of the continuum. And then like extreme diagnosed OCD situation. Um, and so both to me are results of CPTSD. Both are ways of coping with the uncopable. Both ways are dealing with what is uncontrollable. And so, and it also has to do with personality and preferences. And so for me, what's most important, and this is with everything, no matter what our issue is, the first step of all of it is, uh, you think I'm going to say acceptance, don't you? Sure, that's fine. You can't beat yourself up about, you cannot beat yourself up about it, no matter where you fall. And also the other thing you have to take into consideration is if you live with people, one person's clutter is another person's hoarding. You know what I mean? So it's like, it can be overwhelming. So as usual, I know more about this end of it than this end. But I am working. So I feel like my little, like, if it's like, the abacus, like, it's like my little, little wooden bead is now moving more over here, like just to the right of average, so would love it here. So let me tell you a couple of things that come up for me. First of all, again, you do not beat yourself up. Um, I struggled for years. Again, I have much less stuff than I used to have. I was very overwhelmed, and I didn't know what to do with stuff, and I didn't have it's like it would be lovely if a place for everything has a place and there's a place for everything. That's great. That's great. That's great. But when you're starting off with everything full, it can be just so overwhelming. So, um, so when I think about, first of all, I want to say, wherever you are in the continuum, there is no shame in that. It's fine. All is well over here, and all is well over here. It's just about what you prefer and what you would like in your life and what kind of changes that you would like. I notice I feel better in a room that's not cluttered. And I clutter. And I tend to, one of my like, I was gonna say bad habits. What one of my habits that does not serve me well is when I get done with something that's kind of difficult or takes energy, I just want to leave the room immediately. So like after a session, I'll just leave. I'll just like, it's amazing. It's great. I feel energized and I feel connected after I do a counseling or coaching session, or a meeting. But I do not tidy up my desk when I leave. And so then I come back and it's kind of like this. Some of this has a purpose, like I have to do expenses. That's why there's a receipt on the desk. I have just come to terms, and I'm 60 years old. I have just come to terms with the fact that leaving something out does not increase. Like there's a skirt that I got for super cheap, but I don't like the buttons. So I want new buttons. I want different buttons, and I'm, gonna attempt that. And so I left it out on the sofa where I scroll and watch TV. And I was gonna, oh, maybe I can find some vintage buttons or some cute black buttons or whatever. And but then all that meant was the skirt was on the sofa for like 6 days. It didn't get done. So I have to now come to terms with the fact that that isn't exactly a successful strategy. My fear is if I put it away, I'll totally forget and it'll just go to waste. But I think there's a third solution in there that I can find. Okay. So, um, one time I was like, this is so weird. I'll clean and clean and clean. And then it just gets like this again. And I'm just like, I had a thought because I grew up in clutter. Once again, I grew up in clutter and a dirty house and, single mom full time. She worked full time. And, and so I didn't learn like that's a thing that to do. That was normal to me. And so like I do wonder sometimes to my psyche, um, am I allowed to live in a clean house? Like, is that allowed? So that is related to trauma. Like, am I allowed to be free from clutter? Like, am I allowed? And so that's just something that I've been thinking about too. Okay. Um, here's what I think is the pickle in the problem is that for trauma survivors, we're just trying to survive. Oh, one point I wanted to make is if you grew up in filth or major, major clutter, one response is to go to this end, to be super clean, super organized, spend a lot of time on it. You can't go to bed with the dishes in the sink. Like that's the response to it because that's how you get control over that. Then there's others of us who just repeat the pattern. A lot of times, with a lot of things in our life growing up, it's like we either repeat the pattern or we rebel against the pattern. And so again, I just want you to see like there's no shame, there's no blame, there's no like it's okay. We're just starting from now. Okay. So one of the things for me was like and trauma survivors in general is like we are just trying to fucking survive. Like we're just trying to get through life. And it really is perplexing to me that it shouldn't be, but it is, um, that it's hard enough for me to do life and also I have to make time for this other shit that I've got to take care of. I remember reading a book, oh God, probably in my 20s, and it was a novel, and he goes, I hate maintenance. And I'm like, oh, I feel seen. Like like, let me just drive the car. Why do I have to wash it? And I accept filling it up with gas, but why do I have to wash it? Why do I have to go in and change the oil? Like, and then you just hope that day will never come. And then it does come. And it's like, well, fuck, I'm trying to live my life. I've got all this shit that I'm trying to do in my day. And now I have to add a thing in. And it can be very overwhelming. Um, Hopefully anybody who's this isn't an issue with has already stopped watching the video because it's like, this is an insane woman. Um, so for me, it as far as like growing up in dirt and clutter, is that I also didn't learn how. Cleaning is a skill. Tidying is a skill. We think it comes naturally. It doesn't. Like sometimes I get jealous, at some point in my 30s or whatever, I moved into a house with a lawn and a yard. And it completely flummoxed me. Like and why do I have to talk to a landscaper? Like I don't want to deal with that. And I certainly don't know how to do it because I grew up in apartments and we didn't ever have to deal with that. Like it was never a thing that we learned. We had zero houseplants. Like, of course, I don't have a green thumb because I never actually learned. These things are skills. And I want you to know, like, it's a skill, just like anything else. Like, you're skilled in so many things. This is a skill that we can attain. It really, really is. Uh, so, the major thing is to figure out the strategies. I've read Atomic Habits, but it didn't really sink into the clutter in my life. Like it kind of, I applied it to other things, but I never really applied it to clutter. But there's a book out now, called Tiny Habits. I don't even know how old it is, called Tiny Habits. And I've been listening to it, and I'm just at the beginning, so I don't have a lot to share. If you're interested in what I'm learning and want me to talk about what I'm learning in the book, I'm happy to do that. So you just let me know in the comments. Also, could you do all the things that you're supposed to do? Ding, 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 ding on YouTube to help my channel grow. Thank you. Appreciate it. Um, so the tiny habit thing is like, so he's um, I just heard him say this. He didn't discuss this yet in the book, but just at the beginning, he was just talking about the impact of tiny habits on his life. And so he said he started doing like 3 push-ups every time he went to the bathroom. And so like, oh, that's actually a good idea. Like add something to going to the bathroom, like add a little habit to going to the bathroom. Um, or so something that you do every day, you could add a little something to it. I am a big fan of timers. I use timers all the time. Like, let me just clean for 10 minutes. Let me clean one surface. That's actually cleaning a surface is on my list of how to get myself out of a complex or how to get myself out of feeling down is clean a surface because I know I'll feel like a little bit better if a surface is clean. Um, but remember, like there is resistance to this. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a problem. If there was no resistance, it wouldn't be a problem. So it might be good to consider like wonder what this is about. Or it could just be like, this is a trauma response. This is a reaction to trauma, and it is a skill I would like to acquire. Okay, how am I going to acquire it? And so like my, something that I could do is not leave. Like tidy your desk before you leave. And what I realize now is like I'm not going to do that. For whatever reason, when I have an interaction with somebody, my, functioning goes down, or it's weird because I love what I do for a living. I love connecting with another human, but I just need to like get out. I need to leave my office. And so the trick is then maybe the tiny habit is come into my office early and tidy my desk, or maybe it's clean my desk off like first thing in the morning or whatever. So there's ways to do it. Um, my daughter just asked me when I visited her recently, like if I could help her organize. She feels overwhelmed. And um, isn't it funny though how you can like really help someone else clean or someone else declutter, and it's like fun because it's not your stuff. Like it's anyway. So um and also one time I had to like I hired organizers. Like I did that, and I'm glad that I did it. and some of it stuck and some of it didn't, and that is okay. But one of the things that they did do is help me get rid of stuff. And to me, that is the biggest help. If I have less stuff, by definition, I will have less clutter. So if I have like I'm just sitting here, I also I see like books. I need a better strategy of where I keep my books. Actually, I have a bookcase that I'm gonna put together. And so that'll be one place where I can put my books. Um, but I need a better strategy. I have them in a few different places, depending on what they are. So I think I need a better strategy for that. I also have that thing where like I really want to read this book and oh, let me leave it out so I'll read it. That's not, I need to really remember that is not what works. That's not what helps me read a book is to leave it out. It's just putting clutter in my life. Um, so less things and like if you can carve out some time, again, set a timer, whatever, and like how many of these shirts am I gonna wear? When there's that trick where when you hang something up, you hang it up backwards like, so instead of hanging it up like this, the hook goes this way. And so then you learn after, like, you could do it for 6 months, and then you learn the things you wore and the things that you didn't wear, and you have to be honest with yourself. And I did hear somebody say, and I'll be honest with you, I do have some regrets of some of the things I've gotten rid of. Is most things only take 20 minutes or $20 to replace. And I was like, that is helpful to help me like, oh, what if I need this one day? If I need it one day, I can go get it one day. Um, so anyway, I hope that's helpful. The main message here is there is no shame in it. I do think there's that we could call it, nowadays everything's a trauma response, but I do think that there are um that there's tendrils of trauma inside the way that we particularly clutter, because the way you clutter isn't the way that I clutter. We all clutter a little bit differently and for different reasons. And so for me, it's a twofold process. It's insight, like, let me figure this out. Oh, wow, I noticed, like, when my house is clean, I feel amazing. Also, I also have to hire somebody to help me clean. I'm not gonna do it. I will take a sacrifice of a financial sacrifice in another area of my life so I can have that benefit. Because I already know, like, I'm not gonna do that the way that I would like it done, and the way that the rest of the people in my house would like it done. So that's just a luxury that I'm going to have, or I like, seriously, like, I would give up a lot to have that because I just need it. Um, and so it's insight, like, am I allowed? Like, can I finally, like, is this self-worth involved? Like, what is the insight behind this? Oh, a lot of my insights, you've heard me talk about them. It's like, oh yeah, I didn't ever learn this stuff. I didn't, it's hard enough to be alive as a trauma survivor, much less like now I have to fit maintenance and cleaning into it too. Like, isn't enough to survive. And then, and so, yeah, but again, that's like, oh, that's so interesting. And then you can play with that. But I'm telling you, insight only will not change you. Insight only for me, I love insight. Like, that's fantastic. Habits will change us. Action will change us. Action will change it. So for me, it's both. It's finding the behaviors that work. Again, no shame. The behaviors that work, and treat it as an experiment. Okay, I'm going to do an experiment for one day. I'll do this. I'm going to crack the code about my desk. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna crack the code about on my desk. And, one thing that's important for me is to be the real deal. Like, I want to live the shit that I talk about. So I am going to crack the code on my desk. And also, by attempting an experiment of cracking the code on my desk about trying to deal with the clutter that's on my desk, I'm gonna find out more by the action. So it's like, oh, I know why my book is always out here, or I know why there's a stack of books, or I understand I have to leave the office, like, as soon as I'm done recording this, I will have to leave my office. Um, so maybe there's some sort of something that I have to do when I get out there. Like I do, like, it's like a flight response as soon as I'm done with anything like this. It just kicks right in. So it's like, okay, maybe I flight and then set a timer for 20 minutes. Like, is this enough flight? Um, already learn about myself. If it's not gonna be done before, like, 2 p.m., it's probably not gonna be done. I've just learned that. I've learned that about exercise, so I have a strategy for that. Um, so anyway, I just wanna say, like, you're doing great. Even to ask the question, like, you're doing amazing. You're doing amazing. And pick a drawer. You can start as small as you want or as big as you want. I recommend no bigger than 1 room. And then crack the code, figure it out. Are you better if you take a whole, you know, 5 hours and tackle something, or is it better for you to knock it out every day? And I think maybe you could try both and see what you like better. Putting things away, that's a habit. Like, that's a habit. And like, my muscle memory is just to set shit down. My muscle memory is to, when I take this out, it's like, okay, flop it anywhere. It doesn't go back to where the um rubber bands live. Um, and so although I do have a place, and I would say that 90% of my hair bands or rubber band, whatever you call it these days, hair bands, scrunchies, 90% of them aren't in the place where they go. Also, I have more than one place. So I know I need scrunchies where I take off my makeup and put on my makeup. Okay, most of them are in a little container there. Some of them are in the kitchen because I get hot and I'm like, I need it right now, whatever. So it's about finding these little strategies and finding these systems that kind of take care of themselves because you've put them as actions into your life. I've noticed real quick when I'm sick or the depression starts to hit, the house starts getting real messy. It's really messy. And then of course that now folds back onto more depression. So, I mean, when the functioning is low, it's like one of the first things to go. So, how can I deal with that? And also again, like having, we talk about in trauma, like asking for help is a thing. Like, we can ask the people we live with for help. A way that I have asked for help is I have hired somebody to help me clean. That's it. Like that that's one of the ways that I have asked for help. And it's also a way I have understood very clearly a limitation of mine. If something happens to where I couldn't afford that anymore, I didn't have that anymore, I'll figure that out. But right now, it is very helpful to me to have that. Um, so anyway, I hope that's helpful. You're doing great. I'm gonna crack the code on my desk and I'll give you an update on how I did that. Yeah, I think that'll be fun. I'll try to employ some of these things that I'm learning from the Tiny Habits book. I may revisit Atomic Habits for it, but I will crack the code on this desk and then I'll report back. And it'll take, I'll talk about leaving and coming back and setting, I'll figure it out. In the meantime, my challenge to you is, what is your biggest pain point? Okay. I want you to work on that. Understand this. Understand this. This is not about clutter. This is about personal growth. Yes, we're going to deal with the clutter. We're going to figure it out, but I want you to know that this is not a time in your life where you're taken away from your personal growth. People like us like, we're in it, like, we can't help but see the psychological benefits, we cannot help to see what's going on with like, we're deep, and that's just the way that it is. So this is personal growth, like, we're not taking a break from any kind of personal growth, like, we are doing sometimes the clutter thing is the personal growth. So this is huge. It's not little. It doesn't have to do with stuff and shit in your house. It has to do with you and your personal growth work. And so I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions or feedback, and at some point, maybe like in a month or shorter, because I want to say maybe 6 months. No, bitch, like try to crack it before then. So I'm going to give myself a month and then I'll put on my calendar, talk about how I hack the desk. If I see myself hacking it before then, I'll make the video before then, but in a month, um, I will make another video. Okay. And for those of you watching in the future, you can watch that video right now. Okay. I hope that was helpful. Thanks for asking the question. It really means a lot to me. I love answering questions. Okay. Love you. Bye. Oops. Oop, oop, love you.